We all know by now that Stardew Valley is going to be getting a major content update within the next few months. All of the hubbub around the highly anticipated 1.6 update has seemingly brought a ton of new players to the game. And one of the things that I love the most about Stardew Valley is there's pretty much no tutorial. They kind of just plop you on your farm and are like, all right, go. There's absolutely zero hand-holding. And I know from experience that this can feel like a very overwhelming game when you're playing it for the first time, which can also cause players to be hesitant to even start the game in the first place. So I wanted to make sort of a guideline for absolute beginners to Stardew Valley. I myself am a serial restarter when it comes to Stardew Valley save files, so I've honestly kind of mastered the early mid gameplay. So today I wanted to share some of that knowledge with some spoiler-free tips and tricks tailored for players who have either started a brand new farm or are considering starting a brand new farm in order to get used to the game for the 1.6 update. And even if you are a more experienced player, you probably will still learn something new here. I am always learning new things about Stardew Valley, and I've been playing since 2017. This video is brought to you by Lo-Fi Girl. Do you or anyone you know listen to lo-fi beats while they study? I know I do. Well, did you know that Lo-Fi Girl has a merch shop with things like adorable plushies, stickers, study kits, tote bags, high quality backpacks, stylish apparel, and so much more. Lo-Fi Girl is kind enough to offer you all 10% off of any Lo-Fi Girl shop purchase by using code MRIZ with 5 Z's at checkout. My favorite thing from the shop is definitely the Lo-Fi Girl backpack. The quality is insane. There are so many pockets to keep all your things organized. It's a great backpack for wearing casually at school, and it's amazing for traveling. Using my code to purchase something from Lo-Fi Girl shop is a great way to support the channel so I can continue making content for you guys while also getting yourself a little treat in return. It takes a little treat to tame a beast. That's code MRIZ with 5 Z's at checkout, or use the link in my bio. Thank you so much for your support, and let's get back to the video. When choosing a farm type as a first-time player, your best bet, in my opinion, is to choose either the standard farm or the forest farm. The standard farm is very spacious and forgiving for new players. You can plant crops anywhere and have a ton of open space for buildings, machines, decor, and other things like that. The forest farm has a lot less open space, but the best thing about the forest farm is that it produces hardwood stumps daily. Hardwood is used in many crafting recipes and buildings. If you don't have the forest farm, hardwood is a little harder to come by in early game. So that alone makes the forest farm a top contender for new players and even experienced players. Personally, I usually always choose the forest farm, but we do have a new farm type coming in the new update, so who knows, maybe my opinion will change. In my very first Stardew playthrough that I ever did, I chose the standard farm, and I would probably recommend doing the same while you're first getting used to the game. There are some settings that can change up your gameplay a little bit while you're creating your character, but I suggest leaving that alone for your first run. Upon starting your farming journey, you're given the option of 2 game routes: Community Center Restoration or joining the Joja Corporation. As a first-time player, you'll definitely want to take the Community Center route. It just makes sense story-wise and makes you feel a lot better than joining the greedy mega corporation that your player is intended to escape from. Around day 5 in-game, you will unlock the Community Center. If you follow the Community Center questline correctly, you will unlock various bundles with specific items that are needed to complete said bundles. Finding and gathering items for these bundles takes a lot of forethought and planning. It gives you something to work towards and provide structure for the game. The Community Center kind of forces you to explore all of the aspects of the game and keeps you more engaged. Honestly, Joja Mart is kind of like Stardew Valley on easy mode. It's more so for players who have completed the Community Center countless times and want a more monotonous and quicker way to complete these things. Once you have all of the bundles unlocked, it's important to note that you do not need to physically go to the Community Center to check bundle progress. You can see it at any time by clicking on the little Community Center icon found at the top right of your inventory. This button is very easily overlooked. The button will also pulse when you are hovering over an item that is needed for a bundle, but you do have to physically go to the Community Center to fill in the bundles. When trying to complete a Community Center bundle, be sure to check how many blank squares it has. Some bundles show a large list of items needed, but you only need as many items as there are empty squares. You often don't need everything. As you progress through these bundles, don't beat yourself up if you miss things from past seasons. Completing the Community Center in year 1 is really hard to do. Even experienced players struggle with that most of the time. Just take it at a steady pace and you'll complete it eventually. And a little pro tip, if you do want to find some things out of season, there's a traveling merchant found southeast of your farm in Cindersap Forest every Friday and Sunday from 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. Stock changes each day the traveling merchant appears. The merchant will sell a selection of 10 random items in limited quantities. Traveling cart prices may vary from visit to visit. Prices are usually quite inflated, but every once in a while an item can be sold for less than its normal price. And items are sometimes found for for sale outside of their normal seasons, which is very helpful for completing bundles. Now let's talk farming. Just a quick heads up, this particular farm that I'm using for this video is just for content purposes. It's not a farm that I actively play on. So I am using mods to manipulate the farm to show examples of everything that we will be discussing. So some things may be a little bit off or seemingly out of order. Just wanted to let you know. Your first instinct is probably going to be to make some more money by buying some more crops to make a profit off of. And you're right. But be careful not to buy an overwhelming amount of crops before you have access to sprinklers. Because hand watering an excessive amount of crops is not only a time-consuming endeavor, but it will also consume pretty much all of your energy if you're not careful, leaving you with no energy to do other things like fishing or mining. In your first year, you're going to want to save a couple of each crop per season for community center donations and NPC quests. Most of the time, I like to sell silver and gold quality crops and save normal ones. Only place normal quality crops into preserves jars or kegs. Placing higher quality crops into these machines will not affect the outcome. But remember to try to keep specific quality crops for the quality crops bundle. And be sure to save up on sap from chopping down trees. You can use that sap to make fertilizer once you level up in farming for better quality crops. When planting crops, be sure to pay attention to how many days it takes to grow and what season they can grow in. You can lose a lot of money if you don't pay attention to that. Also, crops that are on trellises, like green beans or grapes, cannot be walked through. So be hyper aware of how you plant these kinds of crops and make sure you're able to access all of them. And don't accidentally trap yourself in the middle. If you forget to water your crops one day or even multiple days, your crops will not die. They will just be stunted in growth until you water them again. When your crops fully mature and are ready to be harvested, some helpful little pro tips are to hold down the harvest button while harvesting crops instead of individually clicking on each crop for easy and fast harvesting. Be sure you're not holding things like your pickaxe, axe, or bombs while harvesting, as you can very easily accidentally destroy your crops that way. Only hold things like your scythe, sword, hoe, or nothing at all. Turn on always show tool hit location in your settings to better see where tools will hit. If you till a plot of dirt that you did not mean to, you can use your pickaxe to untill the spot. Don't use sprinklers until you've unlocked quality sprinklers at level 6. The sprinkler recipe that you unlock at level 2 is not worth the farming materials. You should probably focus first on upgrading your watering can. Once I reach summertime, I like to organize my crops in a way that is set up for quality sprinklers. That way, once I unlock them, I can just plop them right in. Another important aspect in Stardew Valley is your energy bar. You start off the game with a very limited amount of energy, so you have to use it wisely. If you hover your mouse over your energy bar, you can see exactly how much energy you have numerically. You will eventually be able to get more energy as the game progresses, to the point where it won't even be an issue anymore. But until then, here are some helpful tips on how to conserve energy and some basic knowledge of how it works. With a skill level of 0 and your starter tools, each successful use from your pickaxe, axe, or hoe costs 2 energy. Unsuccessful uses like attempting to chop a large log with a starter axe costs 1 energy. Each cast of the fishing pole costs 8 energy, even if the cast fails. Your watering can uses 2 energy, and swinging your scythe takes 0 energy. Later on in the game, you will unlock a sword, a panning device, and a slingshot. These tools also take 0 energy to use. So when I'm low on energy on my farm and still need some cleaning out, I'll usually just go in with my scythe. As you upgrade your tools and advance your skill levels, you will get more proficient at these tools and they will use up less energy. In your first few weeks of gameplay, there are a few different ways that you can obtain food for energy. Foraging for food is usually your best bet for energy in the first couple of weeks. Leeks are a really great food source in spring especially, and I also highly suggest digging through the multiple trash cans found all around Pelican Town. Just be careful no one is around you to see you do it. Trash cans can sometimes drop helpful things like fish, forageables, and even full-blown meals. When chopping down trees on your farm, try to chop down all 3 tree types: oak, maple, and pine. Each tree has a pretty high chance of dropping seeds. You can use those seeds to make field snacks, a recipe unlocked after achieving foraging level 1. During spring, salmon berries will appear on bushes during days 15 through 18. Go all around the map and pick up as many as possible during all 3 days. After that, you should be set on food until the next berry season in fall, where similarly, blackberries will spawn during days 8 through 11. Never go to bed with energy left over. If the day is coming to an end and you don't know what to do, but you still have a decent chunk of energy left over, use it all up before bed by either chopping trees, breaking stones, or fishing. And speaking of fishing, let's discuss. Fishing is definitely a big point of contention for many players. Some absolutely love it, some absolutely hate it. The fishing minigame in Stardew Valley can be very difficult to master. To start fishing, cast your fishing rod into a body of water by pressing and holding the action button, and letting go when the meter is at your desired cast level. It doesn't always matter how far out you cast your rod. Once you hear the fishing sound, you'll want to press the action button as soon as possible. Once the fish is hooked, the fishing minigame begins. A green bar with a fish icon will appear on screen. The fish moves up and down within this bar. Your goal is to keep the fish within the green bar by tapping the action button repeatedly. You will get a feel for this mechanic the more you do it. If you were around for the Flappy Bird craze, think Flappy Bird. Different fish have different difficulty levels. Some fish are easier to catch while others are a lot more challenging. As you level up your fishing skill, the fishing minigame becomes easier, and you'll also have a better chance of catching higher quality fish. Upgrading your fishing rod at Willie's or using bait can improve your chances of catching fish and make the minigame more manageable. You may sometimes spot little fishing bubbles. When you see those, cast your bobber right in that spot. If done correctly, the spot will sparkle and your bite rate will be increased. If you are really struggling with the minigame, the local fisherman Willie also sells a training rod that will make the fishing minigame easier by making the green bar bigger and slowing down bar depletion when fish are outside of the green bar. The training rod can only catch basic fish, and all fish caught will be of normal quality. However, fish caught with the training rod grants the same experience with any other fishing rod, so it's a great way to level up your fishing skill if you're having a hard time with it. Another important activity in Stardew Valley besides fishing is mining. The children yearn for the mines. Mining is crucial in Stardew Valley, as it provides valuable resources like ores, coal, and gems needed for crafting and upgrading tools, combat encounters, opportunities to find rare artifacts, and access to the Adventurers Guild. Deeper levels of the mines unlock materials, essential for building sprinklers, upgrading equipment, and progressing in the game. It's best if you only go mining on days with neutral or good luck. Check your TV and click on the fortune teller to reveal your luck of the day. Side note, get in the habit of checking your TV every morning. Living off the land provides helpful tips that can be beneficial for your progress in the game, and Queen of Sauce gives you new cooking recipes. And the Weather Channel will tell you tomorrow's weather forecast. Luck affects your chances to discover ladders from breaking rocks while mining. Geode and coal drop chances from rocks, chances of finding gem nodes and mystic stones, chance that crates spawn in the mines, and the amount of gold and items lost when dying. Rainy days are great days for mining because you don't have to waste any energy on watering your crops. When mining in early game, it's important to leave the majority of your tools in a chest at your farm because of the limited inventory space that you have. All you need is your pickaxe, your sword, and food. If you go to the mines with all of your tools and other things taking up space in your inventory, you won't be able to take home a majority of the resources that you come across. If you need a little energy boost before mining, there's a spa in the mountains where you can pop in and take a dive. This will re-energize you. The first time you enter the mines, you will receive a rusty sword from the leader of the Adventurers Guild, Marlin. This sword is very bad. Marlin does sell more swords as you level up, but I suggest powering through with the rusty sword as you will come across better ones for free in the mines. Try to progress the mines in levels of 5 or 10 so that you can use the elevator and not lose any progress. Focus on breaking stones and not so much on slaying monsters, unless it's unavoidable. If you're able to corner an enemy on the rocks or the cave walls, do that. It makes them very easy to slay. Levels with minecart tracks in them lead to minecarts filled with coal. Click on those carts to receive a handful of coal. These little bags also drop a handful of coal as well. When you come across crates, break them open with your sword, not your pickaxe, to conserve energy. You can also till soil in the mines to find artifacts, cave carrots, clay, and geodes. Obviously, you will need your hoe for this though. You can reset mine levels by re-entering the mine. Another important thing to keep in mind is that passing out due to energy or time will not result in you losing any items in your inventory. You will only lose items if you are killed. If you do end up dying and losing something important to you, you can do one of two things. Restart the day and lose all saved progress made on that specific day, or Marlin has an item recovery service where you can pay him money to retrieve one of your lost items or stack of items. And switching gears a little bit, let's talk about farm animals. Farm animals will be your first source of steady income. You will have a quest to build a coop early game. Try to accomplish that as soon as possible. Once built, go to Marnie's ranch south of your farm and purchase 4 chickens. If you keep them fed, they will produce 1 egg daily. As you pet them and increase friendship with them, the eggs will become larger and better quality. For easy and fast petting, don't individually click on each animal. Hold the action button down for easy and fast petting, similar to harvesting crops. You will want to turn your eggs into mayo with mayo machines. I like to keep these machines stored inside the coop for convenience. Once you have a barn with cows and other barn animals, you can do the same thing with cheese makers, keeping them inside the barn. Your farm animals prefer to eat grass and wander around outside rather than being cooped up and only eating hay. Hay should only be eaten on rainy days or during winter. Try to wait to scythe all the grass on your farm until you build a silo. silo. That way you can start turning your scythed grass into hay that will automatically be stored in said silo. Hay can also be purchased at Marnie's shop. Try to have a full silo of hay before winter arrives. And you can even have multiple silos for more hay storage. Be sure to keep a decent sized patch of grass for your animals though, but you can always buy more grass starter at Pierre's. Fencing your animals in is not necessary, but I like to keep the animals and grass fenced in for easy petting access. The coop and barn have a door that can be opened or closed whenever. Keep this door open at all times and your animals will always be safe. If one happens to get stuck outside their shelter at night and the door is closed, there is a small chance that they will be attacked by wolves and killed, but keeping the door open ensures that that never happens. If you're anything like me, organization is very important in these kinds of games. So allow me to share a few various tips and tricks to set you up for success on a productive and organized farm. Chests are your best friend. I like to start off with 2 chests in a new save and work my way up to a central hub of 5 main chests. First chest is for farming and forageables, and the second for mining materials. These 2 chests will be plenty of space for your first couple weeks. As time progresses, I make a chest for fishing, a designated chest for crops, and a miscellaneous chest for tools and miscellaneous things. Putting chests in this upside down U order is best because you will eventually want to buy yourself a workbench from Robin. Workbenches are great for easy crafting. Robin also sells a lot of other very useful things in her shop other than just buildings, so I highly suggest checking her shop out. But back to chests. Another organization tool for chests is placing signs directly behind them and putting a symbol on it for a visual reminder of what's in the chest. A little known thing with chests is that you can move them short distances without removing everything in them. If you have nothing selected in your inventory and hold down on the action button on the chest, it will hop over 1 space. And remember, each chest also has a little add to existing stacks button on the right side that will save you a lot of hassle with putting things away. And you can also shift click on a stack to take half. When it comes to farm buildings, I like to keep the left side of my farmhouse free of any item or debris. Once you have the money and materials for a horse stable, the stable is designed to be an extension of your farmhouse and looks really nice next to it. It's a good idea to build a shed on your farm to keep preserve jars and kegs in. Eventually you can have 2 sheds, one for preserve jars and one for kegs, for maximum profit. Be sure to keep 1 machine outside of each shed as an indicator for when your machines are done. Buildings can be moved for free as much as you want, so don't stress too much about putting everything in the right spot for the first time. Pathing is another great way to keep things looking organized and looking nice. But it's not just for aesthetics, as all types of pathing provides a 0.1 boost to player speed on your farm. It's not a huge margin, but to me, it makes a big difference. Fences do decay over time. If that's something that really bothers you, you can always opt to use different items as fences, like preserve jars, kegs, lightning rods, etc. But a nice thing about fences is that you can place torches on them. Now let's talk a little bit about NPCs. My best advice is to not worry too much about building relationships during your first year. You gotta get your money up before you get your funny up. After your first year, you will have a lot more time to start building these relationships. Once you're ready to start building these bonds, I like to put a chest in locations where groups of villagers tend to gather. Just be sure you put these chests in a place that does not block a villager's path. Otherwise, they will destroy the chest and everything in it will scatter all over the floor. You can find path maps for Stardew Valley very easily online. My favorite place to put a chest for NPCs is right by the saloon. It's in the center of town where most villagers gather around at some point, and on Friday nights, a ton of villagers go to the saloon so you can go on a gifting frenzy. The quality of gifts that you give to the villager does matter. The higher the quality, the more friendship points you get from it. Be sure to keep track of birthdays on the town calendar. Gold or iridium quality gifts given to a villager on their birthday gives a massive boost to your friendship level. Just be careful when talking to villagers because it's very easy to be holding something in your action bar and accidentally give it to an NPC when you were just trying to talk to them, not give them a gift. Make sure you're either holding a tool or nothing. Getting to know all of the NPCs is very beneficial. Each one gives you different things in the mail, like food, items, recipes, and more. Plus, getting to see all the different cutscenes and getting to know the lore of the town is so much fun to see. If you find yourself with some downtime, try doing some NPC quests, or you can even read some lost books that you discovered in the museum. The quests that you get in your mailbox and the lost books that you get from digging up worms are your tutorials, and these never expire. Follow those and you will have a general guide of what to work towards. Just remember that while Stardew Valley can feel like a very overwhelming game at times, it's also a very forgiving game. If you missed something from a particular season, the season will always come back around. I strongly encourage you to check out the Stardew Valley wiki for any questions that you have. It's absolutely absolutely loaded with accurate information that is always kept up to date. It's very important to note as well that if you feel like you're not progressing in Stardew Valley fast enough, do not start over. Otherwise, you never will make any progress. It's okay to make rookie mistakes. Take your time and enjoy all of the things that you discover along the way. Playing Stardew Valley for your first time is such a memorable experience that should not be taken for granted. Enjoy the process and don't feel ashamed for, quote, playing the game wrong, because quite frankly, there is no wrong way to do. Do you have any tips for new players that I didn't mention today? Feel free to leave them all down in the comments so that we can all help each other out. And if you stayed till this part of the video, thank you very much. I just wanted to let you guys know that we do have a sort of new Discord server for the community, and the invite link will be in the description. And I would love to have you join the Mrizcord. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!